Hello, welcome back to another Marcus Talks review. Today we'll be looking at Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the Teal Mask DLC. Now, just a bit out in the open, this is completely unscripted. I just finished it last night, and I'm just going to give my general thoughts on it because I feel like this will be natural. I will not be scoring it because this is only wave 1 out of 2, and the cost of the DLC was $35. So it's a little unfair to just judge this by itself based on that price, since we don't have everything yet. And this is quite literally set up to part 2. So let's start off with the general gameplay of it. You go to a new region. It's relatively small. It's a decent size. Not incredibly big, which I think is a good thing. It doesn't need to be massive. It lets you explore it really quickly, not roadblocked in any way. Depending on when you start it, it's the levels of everything you find are different. So if you started it before finishing the main story, the levels will be lower. Obviously, I'd finished the game already, so everything was about level 55 or 60 or above. Which I don't have an issue with that. Like, imagine an open world game that, has variable level scaling. Sounds like a novel concept, but apparently it's, something they needed to figure out. There are trainer battles all over the place you can do optionally. You're probably going to end up skipping most of these since they're regular trainer battles. They just take up more time. The scripted battles, however, are really fun. Like, the trainers actually use techniques and strategies that you'd find real people using, like using items, not items in battle, but held items, and like actually trying to set up, like using setup moves, which aren't typically seen. Even some of the regular trainers you just stumble across will use these. I even struggled a bit, despite having really high leveled Pokemon. And honestly, props to the dev team. They made it fun to battle. And none of the trainers used the stupid Terra gimmick, which I can respect. Like, every single battle in regular Scarlet and Violet ended with important trainers using Terra turn 1 when they send out their last Pokemon, which was so stupid. Like, you see it coming a mile away. Alright, but let's see. The real gameplay here is just playing through the story itself, which you have like a couple optional things you can do. There's an optional side quest to chase your rival's parents around both regions of Kitakami and Paldea. And they'll give you money. They're annoying, but they give you money. From PLA, Pokemon Legends Arceus, you can meet the descendant of one character who's a photographer and catch a new form of a Hisuian Pokemon. That's a little bit fun, but it does not take an incredibly long amount of time. You can get through it in less than 10 minutes total. And, it's just there to catch a new Pokemon. Playing through the main story, you'll have basically, you just have to find a couple signs basically to get you to explore the region itself. And then once you're done with that, you have to fight the Loyal 3, considered protectors of this region.
Okay.
And, well, spoiler alert, I'm going to get into spoilers for this game. They're not actually loyal. A history of the region is a complete lie. So you have to fight them to help Ogerpon, the new box legendary for this. They're basically the Titan battles from regular Scarlet and Violet. They don't take too long. You can blaze through the main story really fast. It's mostly set
Okay.
up to explain the brother and sister. The main gameplay is really hard to describe because it's you're playing this for the story essentially, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. They, they've added a couple new Pokemon to this. The Loyal 3, the box legendary Ogre and a new t- Poltergeist T Pokemon, great in my opinion, and Diplin, an evolution to Applin, but it's a candy apple now. All of these are great, honestly. I love them. There's nothing more to say about them. The I guess I should get into detail on the Loyal 3 fights against Monkey Dory, Okie Dokie, and Pheasantipity. Hunky Dory, Okie Dokie, and Serendipity. Oh man, that pun is great. But yeah, like I said, those fights don't take incredibly long since you're partnered up with someone else. Uh, yeah, there's nothing much more to say about gameplay. The story itself, now that is great. So essentially, you go on a school field trip with someone named Miss Breyer from the Blueberry Academy in Unova. You know, Unova? Unova? Who knows? I'll just put up the stupid Professor Oak mispronouncing it meme. Uh, and yeah, Miss Breyer, she takes you to Kitakami on a school field trip where you meet Carmine and Kiaran, two students of the Blueberry Academy that are actually from Kitakami and grew up there. I love the aesthetic of the entire region, by the way. It's basically just Japan. I love it. Uh, Carmine is, what's the word? She does not like outsiders coming to their village for some reason. Uh, she's just very passive aggressive most of the time until she gets aggressive aggressive. Kieran is, one of those shy, reserved types. He's basically one of the only people that likes Ogerpon in the village. Uh, and you get paired up with Kieran on the little school field trip to check out some sightseeing areas of Kitakami to learn the history of Ogerpon and the Loyal Three, which is the false history to set up the real story behind them. Essentially, the story goes the Loyal Three stopped Ogerpon from destroying the village, which is not at all true. But in the process, the Loyal Three died, which they kind of deserved, honestly. Once you learn the real story, you learn that Ogerpon came to this region with some person who is unnamed, and the villagers did not take a liking to them, except for one who made them masks to hide their faces so they could join during a festival. The Loyal Three ended up stealing three of these masks, and it's implied that they killed the man that Ogerpon was with. So Ogerpon went out, killed the Loyal Three, but lost three of its masks, and the villagers thought the Loyal Three were helping, when in actuality they were just thieves and very antagonistic and murderers. Yeah. Once you learn the history, you help Ogerpon retrieve the masks that were stolen from by the Loyal Three after the Loyal Three are revived for. They don't explain it. They just come back to life somehow. Which, who cares? We're just having fun here. There's no need to explain it. They just pop up out of the ground and run off. The story then continues on. You do that. Kiaran really loves Ogerpon, but Ogerpon wants to go with you, so he gets mad. at the very end, there's a cliffhanger where Kiaran and Carmine go back to... Is it Carmine or Carmen? I don't know. Oh man, I hate this. This is why this is unscripted. I don't know if I'll cut this. Probably not. So then it ends on a cliffhanger where they go back to the Blueberry Academy to set up Wave 2 of the DLC. And we see a cliffhanger where Kiaran goes completely insane. Yeah, he's... we don't know if he's evil. We don't know if he's just trying way too hard to be good at Pokemon, which he already is. He is actually pretty... He gives you some of the toughest battles in the game. Alright. I think that covers the story for the most part. Again, this is unscripted, sorry. As far as the presentation goes, they really... I think they upped the job they did compared to the environment of the Paldea region. Kitakami is a lot more naturalistic, vibrant. It still has lag issues, which I don't like, but at the very least, the game looks better. Like, grass patches look lively, they have depth to them, whereas the Paldea region, they are lacking any form of depth. I don't know why they didn't just go back and redo textures from the base game. But yeah, Kitakami looks very nice. Let's see. Let's just finish this out with one of my bigger gripes with this. I loved playing it, but honestly, this is the Scarlet and Violet post game. There's no other way to put it. This is the post game, regardless of the fact that you can play it before finishing the main story. Like, the Scarlet and Violet post game is just do a small little battle thing against school people and do 7-star event raids, which are events and only last a limited time. Whereas with this, it's like, you know, a little fun side story. You get new Pokemon from it. This is an actual post game. And I loved playing it. I enjoyed it. But I just can't ignore that fact. And we still can't fully judge it either because it's not worth $35. But this isn't what you spent $35 on. You spent $35 on Wave 1 and 2. So we have to hold off on fully judging everything until Wave 2. But overall, I would not say buying the DLC just for this is worth it. And that's not a knock against Wave 1. It's, you know, it's just the fact of the way that they're releasing this and how they're handling everything. And what you get for completing it feels very lackluster, at least compared to what I heard about the DLC for Sword and Shield. For Sword and Shield, you got a charm for completing the Pokédex that increased the odds of getting new things called marks on your Pokemon, which are completely random as to whether or not you'll get them. And you don't get to choose which one, but the mark charm increased the odds of getting one. In the Teal Mask, you get the Glimmering Charm, which boosts how many Terra Shards you get for completing Terra raids. Not exactly the best completion reward, since Terra Shards, this will only really affect people playing competitive. And people playing competitive will just most likely use things like showdown bots to generate a Pokemon without putting work in, which I don't blame them. Even though Scarlet and Violet has a lot of conveniences, you know, it's time. And we have limited time on this earth, so why waste hours just to get one perfect thing? And, oh man, I completely forgot. Ogre ousting. Yeah, Ogre Ousting is a mini game that you can play with 1 to 4 people. It's great. It's fun. Don't play it by yourself. Find a group of friends to play it with. It's a good time. But it's also the only way to get certain items. And spending 10 plus minutes just for a chance to get one of those items is kind of annoying. So even if it's fun, that starts to outweigh the reward of, okay, how many times do I have to play this before I get the item I want? I guess that's about it, really. The Teal Mask is a good time. It has its flaws. There's still lag issues, glitches, but it actually tests you as far as battling goes, depending on what your team is. And I can't wait to see what they try to do with the Indigo Disc, as it's called, and finally finish everything out. Because, again, this ends on a cliffhanger, literally saying, to be continued. So, my thoughts are, you guys did a good job for Wave 1, but I kind of wish it was just in the game already, without having to pay extra. Thank you, and good night, or good afternoon, or whatever.